Something inside you recognizes that who you are currently isn't who you're meant to be. That disconnect between your potential and your reality. This isn't about minor improvements or quick fixes. This is about complete reinvention from first principles. I'm not here to help you become a slightly better version of your current self. I'm here to show you how to become an entirely different person. Someone who achieves what your current self believes is impossible. Most people operate from the script given to them. A pre-written program installed by their environment, their parents, their education, their social circle, and the algorithms feeding them content. They just drift through life running the same automated patterns, never questioning why they are the way they are, why they want what they want, or why they fear what they fear. The reality is they're living someone else's life without even realizing it. But you're different. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Something in you is fighting against that programming, a voice that's getting harder to ignore. That voice is your authentic self trying to emerge. So let me break down the exact framework I've used to transform my own identity multiple times in my life when my old identity no longer served the vision I had for my life. Step 1, awareness. The primary difference between those who evolve and those who remain trapped is awareness. Not motivation, not resources, not luck, just awareness. Your current identity is nothing but habits and conditioning, both mental and physical. A set of responses you've been running without examination for years, maybe even decades. The thoughts you think aren't your own. They're borrowed. The reactions you have aren't choices. They're programs. Most people will go to their grave never even realizing this. They'll defend their conditioning as if it's their authentic self. They'll fight to protect the very prison that's keeping them from becoming who they could be. The first step is simply observe yourself with detached awareness. Track your thoughts, emotions, reactions, and behaviors for 7 days. Document absolutely everything without any judgment of yourself. While you're doing this, watch yourself like you're studying a stranger. Notice how you respond when someone criticizes you. Notice what you do when you feel uncomfortable. Notice the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. This isn't about changing anything yet. It's just about seeing what's actually there. Most people have never truly seen themselves objectively. They're so identified with their thoughts and behaviors that they can't separate their awareness from their conditioning. What you'll discover is disturbing but liberating. You're operating on autopilot, influenced by algorithms, social pressure, and unconscious patterns installed decades ago. You'll see that most of your life isn't being lived by you. It's being lived by your programming, while the real you watches helplessly from behind your eyes. This awareness alone creates the first crack in your current identity. Consciousness is the solvent that dissolves conditioning. Just by seeing the patterns, you begin to loosen their grip. You create space between stimulus and response, between what happens and how you react. And in that space lies your freedom to choose differently. Step 2, pattern interruption. Once you see your patterns, you must interrupt them. You can't become someone new while continuing to run the same old programs. Identify your top 3 to 5 default reactions that define your current identity. These could be how you respond to criticism or feedback, your relationship with failure or setbacks, your default morning behavior in the first hour of waking, how you speak about yourself when talking to others, the automatic thoughts that arise when faced with opportunity or challenge, how you behave when feeling stressed or overwhelmed, what you do when you're alone with nothing to distract you. These patterns aren't just behaviors. They're the foundation of who you believe yourself to be. They're the evidence your brain uses to reinforce your current identity. Next, consciously do the opposite for 14 consecutive days. This creates neurological confusion, a state where your brain becomes plastic and malleable. If you defend yourself against criticism, force yourself to ask for more specific feedback. If you normally hit snooze and check social media for an hour, wake up and immediately start a focused morning routine. If you normally speak about yourself in self-deprecating terms, speak only of your capabilities and your potential. The discomfort you feel during this process is the sensation of your brain physically rewiring itself. Embrace it. That discomfort is the feeling of transformation, of old neural pathways weakening and new ones forming. Evolution has designed your brain to interpret discomfort as danger, but it's actually growth. Most people retreat from this discomfort, which is precisely why most people remain stuck. They interpret the very sensation of change as evidence they should start changing. Don't make this mistake. The discomfort is the signal that what you're doing is working. Step 3, environmental design. Your environment shapes your identity more than willpower ever could. This is probably the most underutilized leverage point in personal transformation. The people you surround yourself with, the information you consume, the physical spaces you inhabit, the objects you interact with daily, all of these silently architect who you become. They shape your beliefs about what's normal, what's possible, and what's expected. They create invisible boundaries around your identity. Most people try to change themselves while maintaining the same environment that created their current self. This is why they fail. It's like trying to boil water while keeping the temperature at 70 degrees. The environment always wins. For 14 days, radically alter your environment. Delete the social apps that don't serve your vision or your future self. Unfollow everyone who represents your old identity or reinforces outdated beliefs. Change your physical space, even rearrange furniture if moving isn't possible. Create new playlists, find new podcasts, read different books than you normally would. Seek out people who embody your desired identity, even if only online at first. Change your daily routes, shops, restaurants, anything at all that triggers your old behavioral patterns. Modify your digital environment, change backgrounds, notifications, app layouts. Alter what's visible in your physical space to include symbols of your new identity. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment for cues about who you are and how to behave. When you change these cues, you send your brain powerful signals that something fundamental has changed. After enough exposure to a new environment, your brain begins to adapt its self-concept to match. Remember, environment always wins over intention. This is non-negotiable. It's not a matter of willpower or discipline. It's neurology and behavioral science. The person with average discipline in the right environment will outperform the person with exceptional discipline in the wrong environment every single time. If there's one part of this framework you prioritize, make it this one. Step 4, identity scaffolding. Your brain requires evidence to believe in your new identity. You can't just decide you're someone different. Your subconscious needs proof. You must construct this evidence methodically. Start with micro commitments that align with your new self-concept. If you're becoming someone who values physical excellence, never miss a workout for 14 days, even if some are just 10 minutes long. If you're becoming a creator, produce something daily without fail, even if it's not your best work. If you're becoming financially disciplined, track every expense without exception, no matter how small. If you're becoming more confident socially, initiate at least one conversation with someone new every day. These small wins aren't about the outcomes they produce. They're about the identity that they reinforce. Each completed action is a piece of evidence your brain can't ignore. Each one says, this is who I am now. This is what I do. This is normal for me. Next, document these wins. Keep a journal specifically for tracking these new behaviors. Review them daily. Your brain will begin to recognize the pattern and adapt its self-image accordingly. After seeing enough evidence, your brain has no choice but to update its concept of who you are. Remember, your brain forms beliefs based off evidence, not intentions. A single day of aligned action is more powerful than a year of good intentions. Your brain doesn't care about what you want to become. It only cares about what you repeatedly do. Step 5, strategic modeling. Find someone who already embodies what you're becoming. Success leaves clues, and those clues can save you years of trial and error. Study these people obsessively. Not just what they do, but how they think. What questions do they ask themselves? How do they frame problems? What do they prioritize? How do they speak about themselves and others? What assumptions do they operate from? This isn't about imitation. It's about accelerated learning. You're observing a working model of what's possible. You're gathering data on a proven path to your destination. Now, most people make the mistake of reinventing the wheel when transforming. They try to figure everything out from scratch. This is inefficient and completely unnecessary. Find someone who has already made the journey you're attempting. Their path won't be exactly like yours, but it will reveal principles and patterns that you can adapt. Reach out to these people if possible. Ask specific questions. If direct contact isn't possible, consume their content with intention. Don't just passively absorb. Actively look for their mental models and decision-making frameworks. The distance between your current self and desired self is shortened dramatically when you have a template to work from. By doing this, you can collapse years of learning into months just by leveraging the experience of others. Step 6, decision filters. Your decisions create your reality. Most make decisions based on comfort, convenience, or social approval. These decision criteria will keep you locked in your current identity. For 14 days, make every decision through this filter. What would the person I'm becoming do in this situation? Not what feels good, not what's easy, not what others expect. What would your future self choose? This single practice will generate more internal conflict than anything else in this framework, which is good. That conflict is the sound of your old self dying and your new self being born. Now, apply this to everything. What would the person I'm becoming eat for lunch today? How will the person I'm becoming respond to this email? How will the person I'm becoming spend time in this activity? How will the person I'm becoming handle this conflict? Would the person I'm becoming be scrolling mindlessly right now? When faced with choice between the comfortable familiar and the uncomfortable growth opportunity, always choose growth. No exceptions on this during these 14 days. This practice forces you to live from your desired future rather than your conditioned past. It pulls your future self into the present through your choices. After a while, this filter becomes automatic. You begin naturally making decisions as your new identity rather than having to consciously invoke the question. This is when transformation accelerates. When your new identity starts making choices through you rather than you having to force yourself to make decisions aligned with your new identity. Step 7, identity consolidation. After 14 days of integration, you need to solidify your new identity through language and social commitment. Rewrite your personal narrative. Literally write out your new story, emphasizing the evidence you've accumulated in the person you've become. Focus on the turning points, the evidence, and the new beliefs you've formed. This isn't fiction. It's a new interpretation of actual events through the lens of your new identity. Your brain craves narrative coherence. It needs a story that makes sense of your transformation. Without this new narrative, your brain will try to pull you back to your old identity simply because that story is more familiar. Then, most importantly, declare this new identity publicly. Share your transformation with others. This could be through conversations, social media, or more formal declarations. The psychological commitment that comes from public declaration is powerful. It creates social accountability and signals to your brain that this change is real and permanent. When others begin to recognize and acknowledge your new identity, it creates a powerful reinforcement loop. Their perception of you helps solidify your perception of yourself. Now, here's the truth most won't tell you. Your identity isn't something you discover. It's something you create through deliberate actions. Most people spend their lives searching for who they really are, never realizing that this question itself is based on a flawed premise. You aren't fixed. You're constantly creating. There is no authentic self hiding beneath layers of conditioning, waiting to be uncovered. There's only one self that you continuously create through your choices and actions. The version of you that exists today is simply the accumulated result of past decisions and environmental influences. Nothing more. It has no special claim to permanence or authenticity. The version of you that will exist in the future is being determined right now by the actions you take in response to this video. The question is, will you let this just be another piece of content you consume passively? Or will it be the inflection point where everything changed? Will you continue running the same patterns that created your current reality? Or will you begin the process of deliberate self-creation? The framework is here. The path is clear. The only variable is your willingness to begin. The problem is most won't. They'll watch, maybe take notes, perhaps feel temporarily inspired, then return to the comfort of their familiar identity. They'll tell themselves they'll start tomorrow or next week or when conditions are better, but transformation doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It creates them. Those who actually implement this framework will experience something beyond self-improvement. They'll experience rebirth. They'll look back and barely recognize who they were when they started watching this video. So the choice is yours. But remember, not choosing is also a choice. It's a choice to remain who you currently are. Is that really what you want, or are you ready to become who you're capable of being?